Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Art of Creation show. I'm your host, Frank Fradella, alongside my dazzling and brilliant co-host, Rebecca Boswell. Rebecca.
Hey, Frank. How's it going there in Italy?
Ciao a tutti. Molto bene, grazie. Su valigie arrivano con il prossimo volo, which is the only phrase I know, which means your luggage will arrive on the next flight. I'm still working on the rest of it. But here we go.
The part where they're like, actually, not really. That's actually not true.
Really, you're in a Burger King. What do you want? And I'm just like, your luggage and the flight. And okay. So today, we've been gifted, so gracious for Dr. Lisa Cooney to join us once again to talk about Live Your Roar. She's been a dazzling guest on the show previously. And due to a technical glitch, you saw none of it. So today, the mystery, the magic, the mania that is Dr. Lisa Cooney. Doc, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, and how's that for magic? It was so amazing that I disappeared it and it became invisible and no one ever saw it.
But now, even just in the few minutes before the show, we found out that there's so much more happening in your world. So how does it get any better than that you now have these new amazing things to talk about that we can introduce people to?
Yeah, we asked you how you'd be out creating yourself in the next 12 months, and you said, 12 months. I will show you 2 months or 1, however long it is.
What, 12 minutes? Give me 12 minutes. I'm on the clock here, and boom.
The brilliant Lisa Cooney, who has been in 5 countries in the last 10 minutes. And
you just got in from Mexico last night, right?
Yes, I did.
And you're leaving for Poland on Tuesday.
Yes,
in Ireland.
I am. And Poland, I'm doing a week of classes in Poland, and then I go to Ireland and do a week of classes there. And then I'm back for a little bit of time, and then I go back out again. So this is my world. How does it get any better?
How does it? And how did we get so lucky to actually to have you here on this show for this this episode? When catch her,
because you kept pursuing me and saying, how about this date, how about that date, and I was like, I gotta keep going here.
Tenacity. Never never quit. That's right.
Perseverance. I love it.
So Lisa, you are living your roar, right? Like this, we're going to talk about Live Your Roar, and watching you over the last almost 5 years, as long as I've been aware of you and known of you, I've watched you change dynamically. Not right, like we talk about change, it's not that we're like this totally different person, it's just watching you blossom and really step into the energy that you be today. And it's been such an inspiration, so amazing to be able to witness that. And now you're also not only living your roar and being the roar energy in the world, you're inviting other people to that. And I was wondering if you would share with us what it actually is to live your roar.
I'll do my best, Rebecca. I will do my best. And thank you. And evolving, and roar it's still evolving every day and every minute, even right now, for myself. It's like I'm straddling so many different worlds, if you will, in this reality. Mainstream worlds of different conferences, and the access consciousness world, and some of these other worlds that I play in, the psychological world and the licensing world, and I'm attempting to be that energy, the roar energy, the radically orgasmically alive energy in all of those realities, while creating my own radically orgasmically alive reality. And it's really morphing, it's really changing. Even my business right now is changing. I had my coordinator stepped down due to some, personal family issues that they needed to handle. And she and I were just like in this like major creative zone. It happened really, really quickly. And we had to like change things and get new people in and hire new people. And that is just like, when you're in a zone and then you have to expand to another zone and then expand to another zone, it's like, That's what living your radically orgasmically alive reality right now is for me. Is like, there's no footing. It's just like, okay, what about now? Okay, what about now? Okay, what about now? Okay, where are we going to go now? Okay, what do we need for this tour now? Okay, what do I need to show up for now? And it's exciting.
Yeah.
And part of that is a little bit like, okay, hello?
So I hear you saying two things. One, that you're staying in the question, constantly asking, okay, what about now? What about now? Looking at what else is possible truly in every moment. Staying present with whatever's going on. And for some people, what you're describing may inspire a panic attack, right? Like there may be people watching who are like, I do everything in my power to not get to a place where I feel that way. And so, you know, that's where we make our lives solid. It's where we make our lives predictable. It's where we, you know, we find things that are good enough, and then we do everything we can to stay there. So what are some of the tools that you could offer to those people who are watching who might like want to run the opposite direction instead of choosing greater when it could?
It's actually a really great point that you bring up, Rebecca. So thank you for that. So first of all, I would say to anybody listening to me and all of that, that could have provided the panic attack or the overwhelm, you know, all the thoughts, feelings, emotions, receiving and non-receiving, Access would say sex and no sex, related to the schematics and the codes of assimilation and refined judgments and physical solidifications, locking that into place. Let's destroy and uncreate it. Right? We're on good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. The reason why I brought that up unexpectedly, while you're asking me, is like, okay, here's an awareness. Why did I go there? It's like Roar is speaking to me at that level that I described a couple of minutes ago. It's like now.
Yeah.
And literally has now and is now evolving into beyond abuse, beyond limitation, beyond constriction, beyond predictability, and really into our own space of brilliance and whatever it is that we actually desire to create in our life. And in some way, as the vehicle of Roar, you know, I'm showing it on this world stage, saying this is a possibility, and if you choose it, however you choose it, it is about questions, staying in the questions, and becoming comfortable with the discomfort, because it will the way you think it will. I never would have thought that I would be here again, reigniting my business with new people again, when I just did that again a little bit ago, not so long ago actually. And at this California Women's Conference that I was at last week, just flying in from Mexico to take a couple of days to be with my beloved and celebrate birthday, you know, and before I go away for 2.5 weeks to, you know, Poland and Ireland, which are denser countries that have very specific, all bodies, specific energies around moving beyond abuse, limitation, and constriction that I will be challenging, and the Live Your Roar energy will be transmuting.
Yeah.
It's very full. It's full on. And over these couple of days in Mexico, I really had to come to this space with Roar itself, the business, and be like, okay, I'm a little bent over here. I'm a little like tired, and this is a lot for me. And there was a moment in Mexico where I just like had to just like cry. I was just like, this is so much for me. And then Live Your Roar started talking and was sharing with me what it's doing.
Cool.
I was like, okay, I could relax a little bit and be like, okay, this is not just me. The universe does have my back. Roar is being guided by an energy that is so much larger than me. It's like Poland, like Ireland, going to Florida, Alaska, Canada, India, Turkey, Mexico. I mean, this is so much larger than me, this Roar energy. And I've had to just like get out of my own thoughts, feelings, and emotions of what I thought living your roar was, and had to step back and the energy of it, if you will, and then commune with it in a whole new space. So that's why I said in the beginning, it's a moment by moment energy that I am communing with, and it is going big or going home at this point.
I love it. And you know, sometimes our plan is not the plan, whatever that is. And so being with that energy, being able to change and to follow it. I want to make a quick point for anybody who is not familiar with the clearing statement. You did use the clearing statement from accessconsciousness.com. So if you go there, theclearingstatement.com, you can find out more about the clearing statement itself. But what I hear you saying is that you actually are having an ease with this, right? Like I'm looking at you, I'm perceiving you, and I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm also getting that, like, you know, you're not falling apart, right? Like there are all these big questions. There are these things you're looking at.
Tack on to this?
Yeah.
Yeah, because what's been coming up for me is like I keep, you know, I kind of feel like part of my job on this show is to keep, because I'm of all of us, I'm the newest to Access. I've only been here about 1.5 years or so. I'm a new facilitator, newly minted, and there's a part of me that still has this 1 foot previous reality where I came from, and I think about the me then, or so many of the people that I know today who are not yet asking questions, who live in this solid place of conclusion, who would listen to you go, oh yeah, no, my business nearly fell apart, and you know, I pivoted and I asked a question and now I'm fine, and you know, oh, I did a boo-hoo for about 5 seconds and now I'm good. And I'm like, the things that you're talking about, you are the whirlwind at this point. Like, it's like most people would be like, oh my God, if the wind and the rain and the, oh my God, and you're like, I am the fucking whirlwind.
I'm not caught in it. Oh, I am it.
You are it. And like when you talk about living your radically orgasmic alive reality, I mean, like, I think that you've been living that for so potently and for so long that when people see this from the outside who aren't yet doing that invitation can seem like daunting, right? I mean, now I want to step back just a second. Now the doctor and Dr. Lisa Cooney, you're a psychologist, psychotherapist?
Well, I'm a licensed psychotherapist, and I have a doctorate in psychology and consciousness with a in socially engaged spirituality.
See, there you go. So, I mean, so now, how did you, I mean, you weren't always the whirlwind, right? You weren't always this hurricane.
I think I might have always been this hurricane. I just, I think it's just actualized now.
But did you always have the ease? Because I guess that's what I was pointing at, is just wanting to acknowledge there that even when things aren't easy, because what you're describing is things came up, it wasn't easy for that period, but you still seem to have this ease with it. And so pointing out the difference.
What you're pointing to is the ease is actually the dream.
Oh, cool.
The perceiving of it. The hard part is the logistics in this reality, the money, the venues, the registrations, the links, the website, technical stuff, the, you know, navigating, you know, different personalities behind the scenes to work together when they all have different ideas. So the ease is, I know the possibility for Live Your Roar to take this reality by storm, move people if they're struggling with abuse, beyond abuse. Sure. It's a model that I created, the way that I moved myself beyond abuse. That's wasn't by myself. I used a lot of other different practitioners and many different modalities. Modalities would work for all of you out there listening to this radio show. So I wanted to, and so some of them may, but if you're one of those people that have done so many things and things aren't changing, they're just lateral moves and not direct change agent moves, like you noticed from what you witnessed over the last 5 years, on the periphery of knowing me, it's like, then I would ask you to take a look at the Embrace Your Roar class. It's a 2-day specialty class that I developed that has this 12-step model in conjunction with Access Consciousness tools that will move you through your abuse, your cage of abuse, as I've named it, to your radical aliveness, as I've termed it. And I want to offer that in all the countries that I go to, all over the world, because I know there's millions of people out there who are still struggling with their trauma, still struggling with their post-traumatic stress, and still creating in their present their past abuse. Now, abuse could be sexual, yes, sexual, financial, it can be spiritual, it can be emotional, it could be ritual abuse, it could be so many different types of abuses, mental, emotional, narcissism, whatever it is, you know, that's what we deal with. But what's been really interesting, and I put a link in your guys' Facebook chat that maybe when we send out this radio show and people see it again, the link, we can attach that to it. It's a video on Embrace Your Roar and what it actually is and what you actually get from it. Not just moving beyond sexual abuse. And I think that's the thing that I want to get across. Living your roar and my business and me as a facilitator, I don't just deal with abuse. If you have that in your history, it might behoove you to, you know, allow me to facilitate you a little bit, because I've done it myself and I've had to look at pretty horrific things from birth until the first, you know, 2.5 decades of my life were mired in different types of abuses. So I've looked, I've uncovered, and I found a way to do it where, and move whoever wishes to work with me through it a little easier and not as much staying down the rabbit hole as this reality may have let us know that it's the only way to do it. It's just different, and it worked for me.
So you said you used a lot of different modalities, a lot of different things were going on over the course of the early portion of your life. At what point, and was there a point when you kind of got the information that, oh, there's something here greater that I'm actually required to create and to facilitate? And what was it like to step up to that, even when you weren't maybe necessarily stepping into it yet, but just the, you know, what did it take to be willing to start inching your way out onto the edge of the cliff? And, you know,
well, that's an easy one. It's not a pretty story, but it's an easy one for me. So I actually pushed myself in front of a bus at one point, and I was killing myself with alcohol. I was overweight. I was depressed. I was unhappy, and I hadn't confronted all what I needed to confront or look at. There were some, believe it or not, you know, abuses that even my psyche kept myself away from with all the work that I was doing. And when those hit, I was just like, oh God, I can't take anymore. And so for those of you out there that are struggling, I've been there. And I literally stepped out in front of a bus and was done. I remember the lights, I remember the bus, I remember the street. I can see it even as I'm talking it right now. And then all I knew is something grabbed my shoulders and pulled me back. I turned after this moment and there was nothing there. There was no one there. Anyway, not many people hang around the streets in midnight in San Francisco, at least where I was. And
no one with a body anyway.
No one with a body anyway. And I thought I was, you know, done. And when that moment happened, I was like, oh, literally it was like wake up call, like get to work. You got something else to do. There's no other way that I could describe what happened. And so, you know, I did so many things. Like I got sober. I did that for many, many years. I did the whole AA thing. I went to whatever. I just did whatever I could. I had no judgment about it. I went to therapy. I did AA. I went to meetings. I went to all sorts of meetings. I read everything I could possibly read. I invested in every type of session, from theta healing to, you know, regular psychotherapy. It was way before access in my life, or before I was willing to allow access into my life so that I could have access to where I am now. And I did it. And then I decided that right then and there that I had something from this experience that I could gift, and I better start using it, because if I had a lot of education, I had a lot of training, despite the abuses that in my childhood, I really lived a relatively affluent thing. And I thought, if I had all of that affluence and still I wanted to throw myself in front of a bus, how many people are like that too? So that was my target, was to find them, search them out, and be there and be a beacon of light. And, you know, between that and a couple of other times where I had a life-threatening disease, that some of these energy healing techniques, theta healing specifically, that I got my master's in at one point, I knew that I had something special that was my unique soul print to impress on the lips of this reality.
Oh, I love, that's a great quote.
Oof.
That was my soul print to impress on the lips of this reality. Drop mic.
It's oof. Okay, so you know, this energy feels so familiar for me, in that, you know, there's so many places in my life where what I wanted to see in the world didn't exist, so I created it. And would you, similar to how you created Live Your Roar?
It is, and thank you for bringing that up, Frank, because it's not only Live Your Roar. When I was in San Francisco for 20-something years, and I actually developed a workshop called LEAP, the Life Empowerment Action Program, and Live Your Roar is actually a leap from that. So I was always in this energy, and what I would say to people in LEAP was that I wanted to create a space for people to come home to that they always wanted in their life. And I did for those 15 years. I was there for 20, but I did this LEAP workshop for 15 years. And then that ended. And then I created Live Your Roar, that went through two other name renditions before Live Your Roar really came into form. It was the Beyond Abuse Revolution at first.
Yeah.
And then that acronym was BAR, and I'm like, I don't think so. Plus, when everybody hears revolution and abuse, it gives them license to fight. And I was like, that's not really what I'm here for. And then it went to the Beyond Abuse Movement, and BAM. And I was like, well, that's still a little too violent,
yeah.
the acronym for that. And I was like, no, that's not what I'm doing. Douglas a little bit, he's like, get abuse out of the name of it. And I was like, okay. And then it came, Live Your Roar. Like, what am I doing? It's like the energy of the lion, and like roar to like, no, say no to abuse, which is one of the things you'll see in that video that I posted in your Facebook link. At the end of my Embrace Your Roar class, I have everybody do like a 1, 2, 3, 4 to the world of like, no more abuse. And you'll see it in the video. It's so potent. So it's like that, but it's also like doing it with the purr of a kitten, in that kind of sensual, sexy, you know, irreverent way to reclaim, but not reclaim it, to just claim sexualness with regards to abuse, because most of us shut that off.
Yeah.
And I don't mean just copulation. I mean like enjoying a strawberry, enjoying a lotus, enjoying and copulation, putting on beautiful clothes, knowing your body, loving your food, that kind of stuff. And it was like, I gave all that up when I wanted to throw myself in front of a bus.
Yeah.
Or, you know, because of all the hands that were on me, or the orifices that were entered into without my permission, right? And I was like, no more abuse. It's like, no, we're going to live our roar. And then when that came, it was like perfect. And then it's all in this in this kind of ladder, if you will. And Frank, you brought it up, and you guys both of you love the soul print. That was my dissertation. My dissertation's title was Finding and Forming Your Spiritual Identity Through Cooperative Inquiry, which is this qualitative research methodology based out of New Zealand, which was all about bringing consciousness forward. And it was I based my dissertation in Judaism. Frank, you might like this, because I wrote it in Israel, and a rabbi soul print. And his definition of that was the contour and character of your fingerprint, which is unique to each of us. And part of what we're all doing here is to impress our soul print on the lips of reality. So like, at the same time I was doing my dissertation, that was coming out. I finished that and then became Live Your Roar. So like I am this radically orgasmically alive reality. And maybe I was living it even when I threw myself almost into the bus, right? But it was so covered, but it was there somewhere. We all have that spark in us. It's just covered by our abuses, our thoughts, our depressions, our anxiety, our tragedies, our traumas, our failures, our divorces, our deaths that we have either been involved with or disease or whatever. Yeah. And if you just keep chiseling away, that sometimes you got to chisel and what I'm sensing is more and more and more true about me, which is the roar, and which is what I hope to impress on the lips of this reality every country I go to.
Yeah, you know, the thing that I keep coming up with here is that the thing that was just coming up for me right now, I mean, was that, you know, you were talking about all these things that are abuses, and the thing that I didn't hear you mention was the monotony of this reality where people commute to a job and they sit in a cube for 8 hours and they take their 45-minute lunch and they pack a bag, and like this kind of soul draining monotony that will literally year after year just kind of erode your will to live. Mm-hmm. And like, you know, like seriously, I mean, like I would have died if I'd stayed there. Like for me, that was like the dragon in my reality that I had to slay. Like I could not survive in that environment, living in that box. And so for me, in order for me to live my, you know, radically orgasmic alive reality, I couldn't live by those rules. I couldn't live by anybody else's rules. And so for me, that was abuse, asking me to live in that reality in order to have, say, health insurance, right? Like if you don't have health insurance, you're going to die. But if you're a freelancer in America, you're going to die. So I was like, well, it's like, shit, right?
I know,
so,
right? I mean, either way, you're going to die. Oh, I think I'll die.
Yeah, I think I'll die on my terms. Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
but at least once you make that choice, you have the freedom to do it however you'd like, and take as long doing it as you like.
Right. So, I mean, you know, I was one of the ways that I became aware of the work that you do, Lisa, was that a friend of mine attended one of your classes, and she had been a victim of abuse earlier in her life. And coming out of that class, like I'd been in touch with her while she was attending day after day. And like at the end of this thing, I mean, like transformative, absolutely transformative. And like how much happier she was to just be alive was such a gift. And I want to thank you for the work that you do with people, because I've seen firsthand the effects of it. So can you tell us where Live Your Roar appears in the world right now, how it shows up? Are they classes? Is there a book? Is there a website? How do we find out more? How more is my question. How more? Bad English, how more?
I love it, how more, and I thank you for that. Well, first of all, you can find me on Access Consciousness, Dr. Lisa Cooney, Cooney. With the new website, Access Consciousness, I don't know if it's the same link as what I'm familiar with, and I didn't prepare that, but it's under Dr. Lisa Cooney. I know my website, www.drlisacooney.com. And, you know, right now, you can find me anywhere in the world. You can email me, you can Facebook me, but I will be in Poland next week, Ireland after that, Florida, Canada, Alaska, Turkey, Mexico, India, Brazil.
Would it be easier to list where you won't be, Lisa?
No, because I'm going to go everywhere.
Exactly. So
you go everywhere.
have nothing to say.
And if you can't go there, then everything that I teach right now, other than the Access Consciousness 3-day body class, live streamed. We don't live stream a body class for obvious reasons. It's just for your body. But it can be live streamed, so you can watch it from the comforts of your own home.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and I do suggest that you do get to see me live somewhere. It may be a little bit different, but if you cannot and you're ready to jump on the classes, then the live stream would be would be the best thing for you right now. My email is drlisa@drlisacooney.com. You know?
Yeah.
Or if it's easier, just go
Awesome.
to coordinator@drlisacooney.com, which seems to be easier for me, but maybe not for everybody else.
So, you know, one of the things that I really love about what you're doing here is instead of going into like, I am a victim of abuse, by shifting to the roar, you're actually you're in this generative creative space of creating this energy with people and inviting them to choose this energy, where all the victim stuff, all the abuse stuff actually doesn't have the same way of being solid, right? Like you're not actually putting the energy into keeping that alive and keeping that a big part of your life. You're in some ways transmuting it and replacing it into what would I actually like to be. This may be my story from before, and yet what would I like my story to be now, and how would I like to drive that forward? So
Yes. I couldn't have said it better than myself. I mean, the book, I didn't mention this, Frank, but thank you. And Rebecca, and what you're saying, the book Radically Alive Beyond Abuse, which is out right now, and people can get copies on Amazon, and soon to be through the Access Consciousness publishing company. Radically Alive Beyond Abuse and Lies of Money are coming out. They're already finished. We're just going to finalize the details of that. But that's what it's all about. It's like, okay, I made a decision that no matter who or what went into whatever orifice that and we have as bodies, that wasn't my choice. They never got to take away who I am and my choice of what I do now. But it did. And a long time could be different for everybody. To get me to throw myself in front of a bus, obviously I was underneath it.
yeah.
Okay. No longer. Once that occurred and I made that choice and I started committing to my life and my choice, that's where the 4 C's of radical aliveness came in. Choosing for you, committing to you, collaborating with the universe, conspiring to bless you, and creating. And they came through those 4 C's of radical aliveness that are in the Radically Alive Beyond Abuse book, and is what I talk about in the Embrace Your Roar class. It came from this choice that you're bringing forward and talking about, and became aware of, Rebecca, of just like, yes, I know you've been abused. Tell me whatever you want to tell me about it, whatever memories you still have about it. I can help you to say what you need to say, be heard in the way that you need to be heard, remove the trauma in the way that needs to be, the trauma be removed. Whatever fragment of you is still stuck there, I can commune with it, get out of there, and never have to go back. Without dissociating, without denying, without defending, without disconnecting, with complete communion with you, so that you can embrace, examine, and embody a whole new reality.
So for somebody
See, I
who's
love
watching,
this. There's something. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, for somebody who's watching who may have considered throwing themselves in front of a bus or some other thing, what you're talking about, the energies of all of those are just expansive and delicious. And for someone who maybe is not quite sure how to bridge the gap from wanting to jump in front of a bus to actually choosing that, what are some practical tools that people, maybe even if they're not familiar at all with Access, that they could really be using starting right now and today to start getting to a place where they can receive more of all of those energies that you're talking about?
Well, the first thing that comes to me is go to Voice America or my website on my radio show.
Okay, cool.
And listen to 20-something episodes that I created myself to walk you through it. They have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tools there, and it's free. I said free. I said free.
Brilliant.
Act now,
Thank
and
you. And thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, and
yeah. So, you know,
well, let me just finish this for 1 second. So the Voice
please.
America Beyond Abuse, Beyond Therapy, Beyond Anything, like, and it will also share with you. I'm very New York for the first time in 5 years in childhood home where I grew up, where all that abuse took place. And I have to tell you, so as ease as I'm sharing things here, yeah, one step beyond it, but sometimes I'm only one step beyond it, just like the rest of us. So like, get off your back a little bit with whatever you're struggling with, and know that we all just do the best that we can do in this reality with what we have experienced. And the first thing that I would say, if you can, is ask a question. No matter how bad you feel, every day, ask yourself, if I was truly being me here, what would I choose? That will be your best tool for changing whatever mood, behavior, or negativity that you're in. If I was truly being me, the me that I know me to be here, what would I choose? Because that will remind you.
So, you know, the word that you ended on is it's the magic key, right? Choice. And I think that so many people come to this place of despair because they think that all choice has been removed from them. I'm never going to feel any differently. This is never going to get any better. And obviously those are conclusions. And the thing that really struck me about what you said a little while back was allowing people to tell their story, allowing it to be heard in whatever way they needed it to be heard, so that it can just be. So now you have a place to move on from. But if you continue to live within that story, you feel hopeless. So, I mean, that sounds like such a gift, you know, and in Access, we have this thing of don't listen to, tell, or buy the story.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of marry that with your program?
Exactly. Because what I've seen with trauma and my specialty with trauma, Frank is frozen. It's like this loop, right? Which is why asking a question is so important. But what I do that's a little bit maybe different is when I'm listening to someone share what has to be shared and acknowledge it, there's a space that meets the density of the story. And when space meets density, density dissipates.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I actually will allow a little bit of, hey, tell me, what is this? I'll ask some questions about it so that I can empower and find out how to change it so that it actually doesn't have to become the story over and over and over again, even though it was the story over and over and over again. And that's what you were noticing with your friend, whoever that was during the class, Frank. That's what I believe is the change that I evoke in this.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. And I mean, that's such a gift to people. I mean, you know, and I kind of feel like this story that people get trapped into is kind of this, like, we call it a causal incarceration, right? Like, I am this way because of something, right? I've justified everything that I am now, all of the ways that I'm not willing to change, not willing to grow, not willing to have more in my life, because this thing happened to me in my past. And I mean, there's so many ways that we address that in Access, from, you know, what if your future didn't have to have anything to do with your past, right? I mean, that's a simple question, but like when you start to consider the answer to that, it's mind-blowing and it's really freeing. And I mean, I hear and see the work that you're doing is just so expansive for people. When you talk about that space, meaning that density, I get the energy of that. And it's just, I have such gratitude for the work that you're doing. And I just, thank you. Is really where I was going with all that. That's
and you know, with the stories, I've been looking a lot at story myself as well, and you know, looking at it like, you know, I love stories, and so what is the difference of, you know, this story, that story? And it's like, well, what are we choosing with the story, right? Like, am I sharing a story with you about how I swam with dolphins and how that was a magical experience, and it's just fun for me to share that, and it's entertainment, and I enjoy what happens in my body when I share it, right? That's a choice. That story works for me. if I'm constantly revisiting a story that keeps me in a place of being less than or a victim or whatever that is, it may work for me too. I may want to keep doing that. That may be a brilliant way to control my family. It may be a brilliant way to get out of having to do things. It may be, it may actually work for me. The difference is, am I aware that I'm choosing it or not? And if it's not working for me, getting the sense that I can actually choose something else. And just like if you have let's say you hear a loud clap and it gives you it traumatizes you. And then every time you hear a loud clap, you shake, whatever. You have that linked. Now let's say after a while, someone can clap and you no longer have that response. It doesn't mean that the event didn't take place that initially gave you the trauma. It's just that now you can see it and it's just a clap. It's not the end of your world,
right
at hand. And so it sounds like what you're really sharing here and what you're inviting people to is acknowledging whatever the story is that they're in, seeing it, acknowledging that they're in it, that they're choosing it, meeting them where they are, and then showing them this other possibility of space. Yes. Where they can always go back to that other one if they choose. And yet, when you're wearing shoes that are 2 sizes too small and somebody finally gives you a pair of shoes that fit, you're probably going to want to keep choosing the ones that fit. Right?
You did a great way.
Is this a matter of acknowledgement?
You did a great way. That was a great explanation of it, Rebecca. I couldn't even done it better myself. In fact, I couldn't have done it. You did great. So thank you for that. And yes, I think acknowledgement is key. There was so much of my story that, has been spoken on 100-something radio shows. That's my story. Yeah. I don't put it as my story. I share it, but it's my story, and I change it by doing the clearing statement and all the clearings and the energy behind it. I shared Embrace Your Roar, the 12-step model of that 2-day class is my story.
Yeah.
Personal things that I've shared about my trip home to New York and what I was struggling with, doing that, one of the radio shows right from my childhood bedroom. Bedroom where a lot of that abuse, it was crazy. And I was sharing the rawness of the insanity that I was going through and the depression. I just want to jump out the window at my house. You know what I mean? I really wanted to kill myself. And that was just a month ago. But I have so many more resources now available than I did then, but I still felt it.
Yeah.
And then the support I got and received in the emails back from that particular radio show just helped me even move through that. Yeah. Right?
Can't even imagine.
So it's just like acknowledgement is key. Acknowledgement is key. It's like with the Voice America radio show, I have these clearing loop subscriptions that I offer to people that can get the month of the clearing loops from the show, and they're delivered in their own custom. And I call it holding your hand while you take a stand. That's what we're doing, right? That's acknowledgement. And my monthly coaching call, that's called the Possibility Posse. It's like your monthly, I love it. Possibility Posse. It's like, what questions do you have?
I love that.
Yo, it's the Possibility Posse in the house.
Yo. Exactly. And so I do this once a month. It's on the 4th Monday of every month. The drop-in rate or a rate, which is just like, it's amazing because I just want as many people as possible there. I have the instant teleseminar board right up in front. They're down the list, and we do it in 60 to 90 minutes, laser-like facilitation. Wow. But it's like your monthly cohort for Radically Alive support. That's what I'm really about now, because I don't want just on the couch or throwing myself in front of a bus. I know millions of people out there, and billions of people don't want to either. Yeah. And whatever it takes, I'll make myself available for that individually. A monthly coaching call, the Voice America Clearing Loops. I'll travel. It's not so fucking by myself easy to, get on a plane every couple of weeks and go to another country, and deal with a week of classes, but I'll put myself every country that I can possibly go to, as well as states in America, could have access to someone like myself, to whoever wants it. It's not an ego thing. It's like, this is Livia Roar speaking to me. Here's my hand.
Wow.
You're amazing. I love you.
And
I adore the shit out of you.
How many how many people just...
I love that you said you adore the shit out of me.
Yeah. Does that mean now you're shitless? So,
well,
but
you have to go look at, hey, do you guys like Kathy Griffin, the comic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to go look at she has a new commercial for, what is it? It's the squatty potty.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
I love it.
You have to,
I can already see it.
It's on Facebook. Go find it. It's hysterical.
Will do. And I want to say thank you for, how many people have chosen to take the experiences of their life and compress themselves, try to disappear, actually jump in front of the bus without being stopped. And, you are choosing to actually do the opposite. You're expanding, you're playing big, and you're inviting everybody to the party. So thank you so much for that. And anybody watching here, please, there are so many resources. Go back, listen to this show again, and just have a pen and paper handy and just write all those things down, because you have a lot of resources and tools available to you right now that Lisa has made available. So we have a speed round. Frank, do you want to bring us into the speed round to close the show?
Can I say
one
second before one thing before the speed round?
Please.
I just want to say, if anybody listening to this show, when you post it, if you sign up for the Possibility Posse or the Voice America Clearing Loop subscriptions, or you register and pay for a class somewhere because of this show, I will gift you the Radically Alive Beyond Abuse book.
Wow.
I'll sign it. I'll send it. Whatever, you just gotta email me and let me know you did it, and we'll handle it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You rock the Casbah.
Yeah, generosity is
speed round
in action, folks.
Okay, speed round coming at you, ladies and gentlemen, on the Art of Creation show. Every week, we end our show by asking our guest 5 questions, the same 5 questions of every guest. So, number 1, Dr. Lisa Cooney, what tool can I add to my life today to stop making excuses and start creating the life I truly want?
And design.
Well, it's so funny because it kind of cut out when you said it, but I think I got it. But can you try one more time?
Sure. What tool can I add to my
today?
life? Yeah, to start creating my life, or to stop making excuses and start creating my life.
Tool can you today? If I was truly being me, what would I choose? Ask that question and then act on it. If I was truly being me, what would I choose? Bam. What's light? Heavy? That's not the one. If it's light, go for it. If I was truly being me, what would I choose? Is this creating my future or destroying my future? Do I want that? Yeah, get really honest with you.
Love it. Thank you.
Choose something different.
Who inspires you to create more in the world?
Wow. The children. And for every child that I don't know, may never see, I hear them. And I do this for them. So that one day, all children in all the worlds will have hands to hold, food in their bellies, love in their hearts, peace in their minds, and they never have to worry about anybody coming in and touching them in a way that they don't want.
Oh, it's beautiful. And can I just say one thing on that too? If I recall this correctly, the end of the show we did last time that did not get recorded, I'm pretty sure you said me, and it was brilliant. Because you had this moment where all of a sudden you just got, wow, I inspire me to create more. And you were acknowledging who you be today and all that you've created. And I just wanted to pull that into this show. My point of view, that it was really a brilliant acknowledgement. And what if we could all acknowledge how inspired we are by ourselves, as well as the many other and things in the world that can inspire us. So just wanted to shout that out there.
Well, thank you for that, Rebecca, because I tell you, with what I started the show with, and feeling a little about everything, this is really your show and us doing this here, a whole different perspective on it. And there's a nice peace and ease just by speaking right here. So you guys have done something for me and for Olivia Roar. And I am receiving that acknowledgement because it's been a difficult month in the last month with the transitions, I have to say. And there have been times that I have questioned what I'm doing. And I can leave the show saying there is no question in my mind, although I'll stay in question about things. There's no question in my mind right now. So thank you.
I love it.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, so as a doctor of psychotherapy, I know you're familiar with imposter syndrome. So, Doc, have you ever suffered from imposter syndrome? And if so, how have you combated it?
You know, I suffered from it a lot. And I thought, you know, and even sometimes till today, I'm like, God, if I'm bad and not asking my time and the energy I'm putting it being here, doesn't that make me a fraud? How can I go around the world and, you know, claim this when I'm feeling like crap at some days? So basically, I go to my go-to people who I know will reflect to me the truth of who I be, even if I'm still in that pissy place and I can't fully receive it. Their words to me and their love and support of me reminds me always of the universe aspiring to bless me. And I have to go to gratitude. No matter what, no matter how bad it looks, what is one thing I can be grateful for? What is one thing going right? What is one thing, universe, show me something beautiful today. No matter what, let that seed continuously. And that's how I combat it. It's just a thing sometimes. It's not even in my world. And sometimes it's not even in my world. But when it's there and it sticks. So gratitude, 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 gratitude. Find something beautiful. Do something good for somebody.
Awesome. Okay, so number 4, do you have a favorite book or a blog or a TED Talk or something that you routinely recommend to others?
Ooh. There's so many TED Talks. I watched Dr. Habibi San, get his name wrong. He's most known for conscious uncoupling, when Chris Martin and Gwyneth Paltrow divorced the person that worked with them. And I'm interviewing him in America at the California Women's Conference last week, and I met him and talked to him. But before I got to know him and actually saw him live, I listened to his TED Talk, TEDx in Austin. It was Austin, and you can probably find it on YouTube. And it was really, he showed me something about, and I told him this in the interview, that I always wondered why when couples broke up, they had to hate each other, or have these horrible divorce battles, or destroy each other. And it always sickened me. My parents did it too. And I always knew that there was something that kind of wasn't my niche. I wasn't really focused on it, whatever you want. And I got to sit with him and ask him that question and thank him for what he created, and how Paltrow and Chris Martin, just the fact that they put that energy out in the world. And here's this guy that met them in there and created this whole love button movement that is just amazing.
Love button.
Yeah, like if you look, it's a global movement now, and it was the halftime show when Chris Martin with the Super Bowl a couple of years back, and it's pretty amazing. So take a look at that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
You know, ordinarily there would be a 5th question here, but I'm going to waive it this time, because our 5th question would ordinarily be, how will you out-create yourself in the next 12 months? And as we've already established, that's a bullshit question where Dr. Lisa Cooney is concerned. We can't measure things in months here. It's seconds, it's moments, it's heartbeats. So,
well, I'll tell you what I would like to say on that. I'm not going to mention fully particularly what I'm saying here, but there's an energy that I would love your support and everybody who listens to us support. Because if that comes to fruition, this energy that I'm not naming yet, but I'm putting it out here, then that will outcreate myself times a godzillion. And that's what I wish for Live Your Roar. So if I could have all of your support in doing that, since it's been so blessing of me today, I would really welcome that. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
All right.
And so it shall be.
Doc, you know,
Something even better.
that leads me to one other question here, which wasn't planned. Are you currently the only facilitator of the Live Your Roar classes?
Currently, yes.
What do you know,
Are you
Frank?
thinking about putting up? Curious if you'd like to expand that. You know, so you know, what could that contribute? I'm just.
Yeah, I think that's the next show there, Frank.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, good talk, everybody.
That is a branch of the energy I was putting out.
Yeah, we're
there.
not
So,
naming it, Frank.
I didn't know.
Branch of it.
I'm
No,
so
it's okay.
fired.
No, I'm kidding.
No, you're not fired. You're hired.
That's awesome. It's awesome.
Sold.
I look forward to having you on again and talking more about all of that yumminess that is percolating. I mean, you know, whatever you want to call it, right? Gay Hendricks calls it the upper limit barrier, right? That moment right before the next phase, the next piece of where we're growing, expanding, choosing beyond what is comfortable for us, where we're choosing bigger. And you know, that's where things seem to be falling apart sometimes. And that's also where we've had conversations about where things are actually falling together and where we just keep choosing. And, you know, sometimes it's shaky as you're leaving this atmosphere, but, you know, you just keep going and suddenly it's all space and it's beautiful and the view is amazing. So I look forward to having that conversation with you when you get to tell us more about the new view.
Thank you guys so much.
Excellent.
Dr.
Well,
Lisa Cooney, thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this week on the Art of Creation show. I've been your host, Frank Fradella, alongside Rebecca Jane Boswell.
Yes.
And our very, very special guest, Dr. Lisa Cooney. Thank you all for joining us. Dr. Lisa, thank you so much for being here. And Rebecca, thanks for being my amazing co-host.
Oh, Frankie, it's my pleasure. I am blessed.
Oh, there's a love fest.
It is a love.
You had me at hello. The both of you. Stop it. All right. Guys, we'll see you next week.
We're pushing the love button. All right. We'll see you next week, guys.
You guys be good to yourselves and be excellent to each other. Mwah.
Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Mwah.
Bye.